All right, hello. Let's see if this is working. Give me something in the chat here, guys, if you can see me. I am definitely new to all this. Oh, looks like it's popping up on my end now. Well, hello, everybody that is here. Some viewers have already showed up. I'm going to let some other viewers show up here as well before I get into what I want to talk about. I have a few announcements. I'm announcing announcements. I'm like Pennis Dorder right now, but I will get into a few other things. I'm just wanting to make sure that the stream looks good. Once again, I am just new to this. I have the stream chat up on the bottom. It's just me. If there's anyone else in here, let me know. Let's see, live chat. There we go. Cool. Let's bring that up again. Hey, nice. Alaya, TCC, good evening. Sweet. This seems to be rolling, at least on YouTube. I'm going to try to stream this as well to Twitter and Zapstream probably next week. So for everybody that's already on here, yeah, it looks like 19 people have already hopped on. That's awesome. Woo, this is sweet. Ron Davis, Jason K, thanks for joining. Yeah, let's see. There's a lot going on. Streaming is tough. I've never really done this before, so bear with me. Please bear with me here. Let's try to make this a little bigger. Yeah, it's tough with the non-transparent. I'm just going to bring that up. Let's try a different blending mode. Okay, there's the chat. So that'll kind of show the new chat coming in on the top right. You got me on the right, on the left. Okay, yeah, we'll try to get into some stuff here, guys. Right now, here I just have Michael Saylor's post up. 10 weeks in a row, every single Sunday, he's buying Bitcoin. I mean, I think he's buying Bitcoin actually before that day, probably within the week, which is pretty cool. And of course, it's just good to see that consistency, and we know that he's putting whatever capital they have into this finite asset of Bitcoin. Hey, Mitchell, hello from Dominican Republic. Sweet. Tuning in from the Dominican Republic. Very cool. All right, so I'm going to just bring up here some points that I have. On Friday, I sold my first covered call on MicroStrategy. I think that MicroStrategy needs to do another stock split soon, because it's very tough for plebs like myself, like anyone else really, to do covered calls, to get into the option market in that way, because the price has already appreciated a lot since the last stock split. And it takes a lot of capital for small portfolio size people like myself, and probably a lot of you watching, to create some sort of income or to participate again in that options market, even on the selling side. But I did sell my first covered call. Now, with covered call selling, I've talked about this multiple times about how it's important to think about limiting your risk and to take an opportunity to extract value from the volatility within the short term. Because what we've seen with MicroStrategy, if we go to its chart, which I'll bring up right here, we can see that there's these times where, just like Bitcoin, where there'll be a massive run up. Like even within here, this all starts to look small because of how big these moves are right here. But these moves here are massive. And if you're selling covered calls, you're going to probably get in the strike zone unless you're selling so far out. And when you do that, it's really hard to extract any meaningful amount of money from that strategy. We'll get back to that in a second. I just want to interact with the chat again. Michael Schofield, thanks for the stream. Hi from Switzerland. Cool. Didn't know you're from Switzerland. I've seen you comment a few times. And Jenique97, love your audio track translation on YouTube. That's actually something that YouTube just started doing. I think it's implemented some AI and just auto translates people's videos if they opt into it. And I just opted into it. I think it's amazing. They just auto translate like this. I actually had companies reach out to me from my other YouTube channel, and they wanted to take like they wanted to create these channels for me with like Portuguese, Spanish, all this stuff. And they wanted like 70% of the ad revenue. They were going to give me 30. And I was like, you guys are crazy. Like, I know AI is coming for this. Like, I'll just wait a year. And literally it's been a year and a half. And now YouTube just automatically does it. So yeah. Solana 500. What's up from Brazil? Hello from Buenos Aires. Marcelo. This is crazy. This is crazy. Must wait for Bitcoin all-time high before MicroStrategy goes up, I think. Yeah, I think that, you know, a lot of people are talking about this options expiration, historic options expiration date of January 17th, which is coming up really soon. And I think I've talked about how that's going to increase volatility, but there's a lot of people talking about this gamma squeeze, how the options, the market makers might be offside, especially if there's a run up in the price really rapidly close to that time, because these people, they might be buying shares to cover their call positions as needed. And if there's a really fast run up, they'll be caught offside and be forced to buy because they didn't think those options would expire in the money. So there might be, like I said, there'll definitely be increased volatility around next Friday and before that. So this next week is very interesting. And that's why we'll go back to my first covered call that I sold. I sold it on Friday for the expiration of Friday. So it was basically a 0 day to expiration call option. I made like 28 bucks, and which is not much, but I don't want to risk my shares because I have so few of them really to be able to do a covered call strategy. And this is why I'm hoping for MicroStrategy to do a stock split, because then I can put maybe 10, 20, 30% of my shares at risk and write calls on them and have the other ones not at risk. Right now, it's like I'm having to risk like 100% of my MicroStrategy portfolio to if I ever want to sell covered calls on it. So it becomes too risky, basically. So what I did was I sold a covered call. Let's actually look here on the daily and we can see exactly what happened. We'll look on the hourly and we'll go to the daily chart. So this is all, what the hell? What the hell? Okay. Oh, we went on the minute. That's why that happened. Whatever. We'll just go on the hourly and I'll just go down to the day. Bear with me. Bear with me. Usually I edit my videos. Before I get into this again here, Jason K, my first MSTR was when MSTR was at 140 and I doubled in like a week. Might have been my last covered call on MicroStrategy. First covered call. Yeah. Oh, okay. That was your first covered call. Yeah. Yeah. That's a treacherous situation when we have a massive run up and you've got some covered calls in the open. Even that one that I sold, right? It immediately, I sold it at a time. So I sold it at the strike price of 347.50, and MicroStrategy was trading that day. So here we go, Friday. Where's Friday? Friday. So Friday it was selling, yeah, like 330 roughly around, right? Which it ended up at 327. Immediately when I sold the covered call, the price of MicroStrategy went down. So it looked like, you know, I was like $15 up on my covered call position, which was, you know, hedging the downside of the rest of my MicroStrategy portfolio. And then within that day, it ran up. It ran up to all the way to, we'll see here, 335. That covered call that I sold was up 200% in the money. So it was down on my side, 200%. So the person that bought it, if they bought it and then sold it while MicroStrategy was running up within that day, they could make a 200% profit on buying these short-term calls. So there's traders in there doing that, and it's just an incredible like thing to see and to know that's happening. And then of course, you know, MicroStrategy ended on the day at 327. So, oh, audio has echo. Thanks for letting me know that. Let's see. Oh, I think I got 2 audio capture devices here. Audio output. 1 second. I'm going to just try to fix that. Okay. Can you let me know? Can you hear me right now? And is it echoing anymore? Before we continue here. Ricky Bobby. If you ain't first, you're last. Can you tell me, can you hear me? And does it sound okay? And is there an echo before I continue? No? No? I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. Anyone? Anyone? Bueller. Sounds worse. Oh, very quiet now. Okay, what about now? How's that sound? That should just be one. It just looks like one on my side. And this, yeah, it should just be one on my side now. There was two things going there. So Jason K said he didn't hear it. TCC, a bit quiet. I'll turn that up a little bit. How does that sound now? Sorry about this, guys. Like I said, I'm just, no echo, but it sounds weird. That's it. Better. Okay. Okay, sweet. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. So just to finish my cover call story here, it expired worthless, as most cover calls do. But there was that moment in the day, oh, did I make a mistake here? Is MicroStrategy going to run up to $347? I didn't think it was, but I saw it ran up in the kind of, 200 plus to the buyer of that covered call. And, if they sold out on that time, they made a nice profit. I mean, $200, woo, that's crazy, right? So that's amazing. That's amazing. Cover call, first time I did that, it worked. I don't think it's the reason I sold it for that day. I didn't want to even go a week out is because next week is that historic options expiration. There will be increased volatility. There is the small percentage chance of a gamma squeeze. And I think I don't really want to participate in that volatile market, especially with such a big part of my entire portfolio, which is my MicroStrategy shares. Okay, sweet. Any other questions here? When do you choose to roll? Only when it is in the money? No, you could roll when you kind of see momentum going against you and you think that because the price of the option that you're going to sell when you push the date out of expiration, the value of that also increases. It's not directly in line with a shorter to expiration one, but the value of that is also increasing as the price runs up. You're probably, in my opinion, I usually tend to roll when I see that my option is going to be in the money, when there's quite a bit of certainty to that. There's been some sort of catalyst, something like that. And I'll roll that out further out of the money or and take the hit on that. And I'll usually combine that with further to expiration. And then within that time, I'm hoping that stock, whatever I've sold the call on, will go back down, and I'll either close that or roll that into a shorter time frame or closer to expiration. So Jason K, never selling my MicroStrategy. Is there cold storage for stocks? Yeah, you got to request the paper certificates from back in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, cold storage for stocks. Hopefully, Blockstream Jade is making something for that. I wouldn't be surprised. Adam Back, I mean, not that there's going to be cold storage for this, but if there was somebody to do that somehow, it would be Adam Back, because he's a proponent and a advocate for MSTR as well. Let's see. Janique97, you heard about the MSTR article from blackout to breakout in Q4, German, I think, with the percent line at 95% to $1,300. I haven't. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's just a price prediction, right? Based on whatever models they have. There's lots of crazy price predictions going on. I don't tend to take a lot of price predictions to heart. I look at kind of my own metrics. I think I try to be as responsible as, I try to align myself with my own risk tolerance and all that. And I think long term with these kind of things. I know that, Bitcoin is solid. MicroStrategy is wrapped Bitcoin in this corporate type way, doing their own strategy, getting lending rates that I can't get. And I believe that that's going to be effective for the long term. And I do know that it's a bet on Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin hits a cycle where it has a downturn, so will MicroStrategy. You can't be naive and not think that MicroStrategy will be somehow immune to that. It would get affected by a downturn of Bitcoin because it's a bet on Bitcoin. Let's be real about that. So no, I haven't read that article. I might check that out. That'll be interesting. MicroStrategy TCC, biggest part of portfolio ahead of Tesla and Palantir. That's great. Yeah, Tesla and Palantir are, similar in the way of, higher volatility, growth stocks, things like that. I actually, I own some Palantir in the past. I don't believe in them as ethically as a company. However, for me, my small investment in a thing isn't going to make them isn't really going to affect their bottom line that much. I ran that stock up 140% before, and I was selling covered calls on that for quite a while with a lot of success, earning that premium. And then one day it hit, Palantir's price hit $40.01 on a Friday. And my covered call, you can guess it, was at $40. So it was called away and I didn't buy back in, and I took those profits and I bought MicroStrategy with them. Yeah, I've lost out, and that's fine. But actually I haven't lost out because MicroStrategy has performed incredibly well since then, of course, too. All right. So I'm just gonna have to take a quick break. I know there's a couple questions in there. I do want to just talk a little bit more about, actually planned a little bit more on this live stream than just answering questions, because I wasn't sure that there would be people here asking questions, but I'm pleasantly surprised. So I want to get to my second topic here. And actually before that, I will just quickly say I have a plan, a portfolio plan that I plan to have public for everybody to participate in just as a viewer. And that plan is for an income growth account. I'm going to have this as a margin account, as an individual account. So it's not tax sheltered in any way. And I plan to actually use this account, this investment, to supplement my income. I've recently moved. My rent has gone up by 1,000 because of where I live now. You can hopefully tell that I've recently moved, considering I have no furniture in this room and a surfboard. But there's another reason for that, which I'll also announce. But this portfolio is going to be $10,000 USD. I'm going to do it on Interactive Brokers in an individual account. I hope to gain some margin on there and use a little bit of that as well. And here, I'm just going to pull, let's see. Oh, sorry. There we go. I'm just going to log into some stuff and have that window private for a second. So my idea here is to create a margin account and buy MSTY. I've talked about MSTY in the past, and I've kind of talked about how, a lot of people got the perception from my video that I was anti-MSTY because I talked about how MSTR is going to outperform MSTY in the long term. And if we look at a chart here, we have MicroStrategy up. We're going to go to the daily, and let's compare MSTY. And even with the amount of income that MSTY has created, we can see a huge difference, right? 300%, over a long term here. MSTY has underperformed. But they have consistent dividends, and that dividends are going to act like income. So I'm essentially going to port that $10,000 directly into MSTY and supplement part of my income, because my income fluctuates like crazy because I'm a creator. I live off royalties of my films. This channel, a little bit, I make a little bit from. I don't tap into my investments really for income at all, and this is going to be new to me to do so. But I hope to I'll make a significant amount of money from $10,000 US. We'll see here. I got a Google Doc that I will bring up. There we go. So we'll look here. My goal is to make $1,000 a month. On average, over the history of MSTY, the dividend payout is $3.03. Now this is totally averaged out. Some of them are way higher, $4 and something. Some of them are lower, $1.80, things like that. I should be able to get around 340 shares for 30K USD. And I have sold a bunch of stuff. I'm going to tap in a line of credit for 3,000 Canadian. I've sold some stuff out of a TFSA that was not Bitcoin related, some old REITs that I've just held on to since I began investing, things like that have performed well, but not nearly as well as something like MicroStrategy will, or even MSTY will. Sold some stuff out of a crypto account that I had on Wealthsimple. Had some leftover cash laying around. I had an old Questrade account that was literally cash that I've been trying to shut down. They don't like you shutting down accounts, it turns out. And literally, look at this. I literally have a bag of silver coins, from collecting coins with my grandpa as a kid. I've gone through Pokemon cards that I've kept since I was 6. I'm going to be selling this stuff and just putting it into this income investment thing. So my kind of idea here is to supplement my income with the income that is generated from the MSTY, and whatever's left over, whatever I don't end up needing, will get reinvested. So that's kind of where you're going to follow along. And some of that will get reinvested into Misty to increase the growth of that income. But some of it might actually go to shares of MSTR, with the idea that they will be doing splits, and then it will be possible for me to generate income from that through covered call strategy. So that's kind of an idea that I'm going to share a little bit more every single week, how it's doing, what's going on with that portfolio. And that can be something you guys follow along on this live stream weekly, is the idea, every Sunday. All right. So, I'm going to take a look at these questions just in 1 second here. I will also say another announcement here is that I've created channel memberships on YouTube here. I plan on doing a 21 beginner lesson series, and 10 of those are going to be absolutely key, absolutely important for beginners to know about Bitcoin. And those will be available to the public. And then the 11 other ones will be more advanced, and definitely you don't need to know to own Bitcoin and to use Bitcoin. It'll be things like how to run a Lightning node, more complex things, how to do a Bitcoin smart contract or a time lock or multi-sig I'll probably cover in the other one, actually, in the public one. But in the private one, I'm going to be doing those will be available for members only. The other thing that's going to be for members is the playback of these live streams. This first one will be available to the public, but the rest of them from now on, the playback will be only available to members. So it's kind of an incentive to sign up. And I'll be snipping little clips out of these and posting those to the public. So you're not going to entirely miss out if you're not a member. But those are going to be some reasons and some changes here on the channel that I've done. Yeah, let's take a look here at some questions here. If you were to buy $1,000 out of the money calls on MicroStrategy, what date would you put the expiry to be safe and ensure what it becomes in the money in the future? That's Project Influencers. I think it would probably be hard. Here, I'm just going to go to the webcam so I can sign into this account here. I think it would probably be hard to find an option for $1,000. You got to go super far out of the money to find an option for $1,000 for MicroStrategy, and it's probably going to be really close to expiration, and therefore it's not going to expire in the money. I think the options on MSTR are a lot more expensive than that, unfortunately. So let's see, I brought up the options chain. Let's take a look at this. Hopefully this is interesting to everybody, not just the one asking that. This is the option chain of MicroStrategy. So for it to be $1,000, you basically need it to be $10 because it's a contract for 100 underlying shares. So do you think that MicroStrategy is going to end next Friday, January 17th, above $340? If so, there's your $1,000 option for that, right? Otherwise, you got to go further out of the money if you want to go later in expiration. And it takes a while for these to load. So that kind of answers it, basically, that question in my mind anyway. Let's see. Next question here. Michael Schofield. Will you do covered calls frequently from now on or just a one-time thing? I probably won't do more covered calls on MicroStrategy until there's a split, because I just put a huge amount of my MicroStrategy portfolio at risk when I do covered calls. Once they do the split, though, I can do a percentage of those as a covered call strategy. RWAs include stocks too. You'll be able to put stocks in cold storage soon enough on the blockchain. That's Caesar gets crypto. Oh, cool. Caesar's in here. Sweet. Yep, that's true. RWAs will probably have some sort of utility in that sense. Pedro, do you buy BTC ETFs in a tax sheltered account thinking ahead to tax season? I will need to start pulling money out to pay the tax man. Yes, I do, actually. That's the only place I have ETFs of Bitcoin is in tax sheltered accounts. I don't think, that's not my preferred way of holding Bitcoin. I prefer cold storage, private key ownership. I don't want to pay an expense ratio every year for that, for them to hold Bitcoin for me. That doesn't make any sense. However, in a tax sheltered account, it does make sense because we have capital gains on Bitcoin and crypto at this point. 88 sats. Hey, salute to you back. Hello out there. Thanks for joining and checking it out. Jason K, been holding MSTR almost since inception. So far, so good. That's awesome. Yeah, Jason, you've probably been, you've been getting that income. Right here is a compound interest calculator. So back to my MSTY strategy here, $10,000 investment. Roughly, it's actually more than this, but roughly I would estimate on the low side a 10% monthly interest. And you compound that. If you reinvested that monthly rate actually becomes 213% yearly compound, which is just insane numbers. Like, these numbers seem totally like just asinine. All-time total return for 2 years is 884%. It's just, once again, just crazy. So this is for 2 years here. Future investment total would be almost $100,000. But you can see here the compounding. This is monthly. So your accrued interest, if you just add that back to the balance or to the initial capital, you're getting $1,000 the first month, $1,100 the second, $1,210. So it's just compounding and it's just growing rapidly, right? Like by year 2, if everything stays the same, right? If you get that average of 10%, which once again, it's actually more than 10% currently per month. But that's the thing with trades, right? All trades work until they don't. So I don't expect that this works forever. I do not expect my income strategy, and that's why this portfolio will be interesting to watch, is because I'll have to be adaptive to the market and to what happens and changes. But I don't expect Misty to just be a cheat code forever, that it's going to just return these kind of returns. And there might be NAV erosion, there might be a downturn in the market, there might be all sorts of things that affect this, a decrease in volatility where they can no longer have such high premiums for their synthetic covered call strategy, all this kind of stuff. And I'm going to get more into that. I've actually created how much income I can generate from covered calls on shares versus how much income Misty can create. And it's actually quite interesting, but I'll get into that in another week. Maybe next week I'll do that because we got more questions here and we still haven't hit my other my other things that I want to talk about. So just bringing up the questions again here. So project influencers actually meant $1,000 strike price. Okay. So let me look at your question again. Project influencers. If you were by $1,000 strike price for MSTR, what date would you put as Okay, so you're wondering basically when will MicroStrategy be at $1,000 price? For me, that's like very much obviously it's very much price prediction territory, and it's not something that I do a lot of. So there might be people out there that are smarter than me that could do that. But you can see here for like 11 days away, obviously they don't even sell the strike price of $1,000. So you're gonna have to go into a leap for that. And I hold a leap for, when do I hold a leap for? It's one of these, I think it's this June 18th one. I hold a leap for that. So the reason I did that was because I wanted to be assured that my strike was going to happen, is going to be in the money. I picked the furthest out of the money strike I could because I just didn't have the capital to get close to the money ones. I think it was either 530 or 560. I still own this, by the way. I could check, but it's up, it's been up 300% at some times. And for a leap, right? Like leaps aren't, drastic in the way they, as opposed to closer in the money options. But even this one, right? This is 521 days away, and they at the furthest out of the money they have is a 1080. So the $1,000 strike right here, that's going to cost you, what is that? 5,575 US. Oh, to sell. To buy, actually, the ask is 64. So $6,400 to buy the $1,000 strike at 521 days. Options are inherently risky. You have the ability to lose out your entire investment. And that's why most people are better off buying shares, because they don't have to try to time the market. With options, you're inherently trying to time the market. I cannot tell you what option expiry would be good. I can just say that there's a lot of people that think MicroStrategy is going above 1,000 before days like this. 521 days. It's quite a ways away. I'm not going to say anything, but yeah. 88 Sats Radio asked, sorry, I skipped a few people here, but I'm just going to answer this question first and then go back. Sorry if you already covered this, but could you give a brief summary of Misty? Yeah, let's take a look at Misty here. This is something I wanted to do on this stream anyway. This is their top 10 holdings. So 82% right now, they're holding in cash or cash equivalents, probably in short-term T-bills. They have this in the money leap expiring in, or I guess it's not a leap, it's just an option, but it's in the money. They have a lot of it. This is the market value of it, quite a lot of it. 14% of the entire assets under management is in that call. So that is basically acting as shares for them. And each contract here is acting as 100 shares, so they can sell covered calls on that, or they can sell calls on that. And basically the price appreciation of this option is going to balance and offset and act like shares would. And if need be, they can sell those to cover buying shares and actually selling or giving those shares away to their option buyers if their options expire in the money. So then they have some negative calls here. So these are ones they've actually been selling. These are T-bills. So this is actually just cash and other. I don't know if some of that is T-bills or not, but they actually do specify some of the T-bills they own. These are some more calls they own at the 460 expiry for this week, which is interesting. And then they have a very small percentage that they're selling here of calls. And I believe that's kind of how it works. And basically they're taking that premium that they earn plus the interest rates they get from their cash on holdings, and they're paying that back to you. This is another important metric here, their net asset value. Sometimes that erodes on funds like this because they're dealing with theta decay and options that could go against them in some way when they sell them, right? There could be a rapid price appreciation, which requires them to sell some of their calls. they're synthetic shares basically. Yeah, so they're pretty good though. They've been really actually performing quite well. And then this is their distribution, right? So declared, executive day, and payable. So you can see these amounts are crazy because Misty, if you look at it, is like a share that costs $28.48, and they're paying more than 10% on per month just on their dividends through this strategy that they're implementing. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, okay, so Darth Flyer, if we see a gamma squeeze this week, what will your first reaction be? Example, spike up Thursday at 8:30, then drop back down into 300 in a matter of hours. Yeah. Well, what would my reaction be? I'm not trading this, so I would basically just hold on, watch with a lot of excitement, see that the volatility will go up, which the volatility increasing like that actually increases my call option, my leap that I hold. So that would, increase the value of that, even if the price comes back down to the same. But, there'd be a time there where I might be considering selling that option, because it would be, the gains on that leap would be insane, right? So if it went up to a huge amount. Janik97, the site is in English. Google MicroStrategy okay, I'll check that out afterwards. I'm not going to do that on stream, but I will make sure to look at that later. And then, how do you think MicroStrategy funded this week's Bitcoin purchases, at the money or preferred stock from Burek? So this is actually quite interesting, this question here. They only did a press release that they're going to do preferred stock. They haven't announced officially that they're issuing the preferred stock. So this is kind of like, that was kind of like just a warning that they plan to do this. They could also not do that, right? They also, it's just no obligation from what they've said to do preferred shares. So that's not written in stone. I'm sure they will do it, but I'm just an example. It's not written in stone. They haven't issued any new convertible bonds to create more capital for themselves. They haven't done regular corporate bonds. The only thing they could do is earn income from their business, their business intelligence side of things, or do at the market, which is issuing new equity to get capital. And those would be the ways that that's how they would buy more Bitcoin this week. That's how they did it last week. That's why last week's purchase was really small. That's why this week's purchase will probably be fairly small as well, compared to ones that they have done, especially when their equity was ripping, or when they issued converts and they had a lot of extra capital to buy Bitcoin with. Matt, I don't have the exact numbers. You're asking what is your overall allocation of Bitcoin to your personal wealth. I will just say Bitcoin is a large part of my portfolio. Everything I own at this point almost is Bitcoin related. When I first got into investing, I put a lot of my money into registered accounts, which limited my ability to expose myself to cold storage Bitcoin. After I learned a lot about Bitcoin, I started, any extra capital I had went into cold storage Bitcoin, and that has become the majority of my wealth, even with the initial investment into the registered accounts. Okay, my question was coming from Josh Mandel, Jeff Walton, and Grain of Salt thinks something big is coming for this week. Yeah, I've seen that as well. That's Darth Flyer that said that, and that was to your gamma squeeze, what my reaction would be if it ripped up and, had that massive volatility. Again, yeah, I'm not sure what my reaction would be. But yeah, I think that it's very possible. There's been a lot of people exercising their options because those were so deep in the money. Like those January 17th options that are coming to expire this week, those were released when MicroStrategy's share price was incredibly low, and they were super long leaps. So people bought them, and it was a risk back then. But MicroStrategy's share price has just skyrocketed past a lot of those. So people have been exercising them. It's very interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Ricky Bobby, Trump's pick for Treasury, Scott Bessent, yes, to closed owning up to 500,000 of IBIT. Yeah, pretty awesome. So that's Treasury Pick. I think I haven't actually looked into that, but that would be replacing like Janet Yellen, I believe. If somebody wants to confirm that, but that would be my assumption, right? Trick for Treasury. She's head of the Treasury Department. I imagine that would be the position. I've seen some headlines. I haven't looked into that more deeply though. Do we really want government to own Bitcoin? That's the great thing about Bitcoin. It's censorship resistant and it's permissionless. We want everyone to be able to own Bitcoin. We don't want to be gatekeepers. I'm not somebody who loves the government, trusts the government. I think that there's a lot of reason not to trust the government, but it's up to them. If they want to buy Bitcoin, they can buy Bitcoin because that's the way the network works. It's fair money. Unlike any other government issued money, you have to have permission to access it. You have to have permission to use it. There is 20,000 reachable nodes that if I use Bitcoin on, they will say, yeah, that's Bitcoin. We give you permission. So it's permissionless in the way where no central organization can say yes or no. It is all of the nodes saying, yes, this is an authentic transaction, or no, it's not, if it's not Bitcoin. So, if you use Bitcoin, it's permissionless. It's great. I think everyone should own Bitcoin. Nick, PHX fan. What do you mean registered accounts? I mean TFSA and RRSP, RRSP, Registered Retirement Savings Plan. TFSA is tax-free savings account. These are accounts in Canada, and they're tax sheltered or tax deferred accounts. And so, yeah, you can only hold stocks in those ones. You can't hold actual Bitcoin itself. Jason K. There are a couple good YouTubers covering the daily, weekly trades on MSTY and other yield max ETFs. One good one is Retire on Dividends. Highly recommend. Cool. I'll check that out because this is a strategy I'm going to be implementing. So if there's some insight, some nuance within that, I'll be able to pick that up from other YouTubers that do that. That's great. Matt Newell, I don't understand Misty. Sounds too sketchy. How reliable money can come from volatility? Well, they're simply doing a covered call strategy on a synthetic call. They're harvesting volatility because you can get a huge amount of premiums. And again, I'll go over this next week in my live stream about the different way to do this yourself with shares or with creating your own synthetic covered call. But it all works. Like, I've sold covered calls. I understand that it is possible to acquire premium. It is possible to even outperform the underlying depending on your strategy, and that this could be something that is income. It seems crazy because of the numbers, but that is because of the price appreciation of MicroStrategy, which they hold derivatives of, and it's because of the volatility which they sell against with covered calls. So it does make logical sense where it's coming from. It's not coming from nowhere. It's not a Ponzi. It's not coming from new investors adding in assets under management into the fund of Misty. It is coming from the price appreciation of the assets they hold and the premiums they make by selling covered calls. TCC, I wish the UK government is not so anti-Bitcoin. Yeah. I mean, I think there's going to be a sea change. We've seen the red wave in America. We now are going to be seeing a blue wave here in Canada. We'll see whatever the pro Bitcoin wave is in a lot of countries around the world. And I think the UK is one of them. So I think that, I think that, we will see some pro Bitcoin. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat here. We'll see some pro Bitcoin politicians in the UK as well, I think. Response audio. This is a great question, one that I totally should have covered. And this was my initial thought was they asked, is MSTY eligible for TFSA? This was my original idea, but I didn't think about the withholding tax. So TFSA, if you put Canadian stocks in there, in Canadian dollars, right? This is Canadian registered account. You'll get 100% of the dividends. You'll be able to sell and not have any capital gains if the price of the underlying's gone up, all sorts of things. With MSTY, it's a US stock that pays in US dividends, it's a US ETF. And what happens with that is if you hold a US equity, that has dividends in a TFSA, there's a 15% withholding tax right off the top, and that's for the US government. The US government takes that before you get it. And then whatever goes on in there afterwards is tax-free. And actually, TFSAs are really incredible in the way where you can withdraw money, and then the next year that resets the allocation amount, because there's only a certain amount that you're allowed to allocate to a TFSA, but that resets every single year. So if there was MSTY, but it was in Canadian dollars and there wasn't that withholding tax, 100% I would be doing this in a TFSA. Instead, I'm going to be doing this in a margin account, take advantage of some margin loan to amplify my gains, take on a little leverage, be a little crazy, a little wacky. And I will just have to, the dividends end up being like income. Now with my businesses, I have a lot of write-offs, so my income ends up looking pretty low after that, and my income bracket stays fairly okay. Is that 15% withholding tax better than the income from having to be taxed on income? I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really figured that out, but as far as I can tell, I think it's going to be better in an individual account and just treated as income. I might take some of that gains and put that in a TFSA, and then maybe hold something like MSTR, which will outperform MSTY in total returns anyway. And when I sell that, I don't have to pay capital gains, and there's no withholding tax because there's no dividends on MSTY. So hopefully that's explained. I don't know if that was totally that clear, but yeah. What about covered calls on MSTY, enjoying both dividend and premium? Let's go back to webcam here. I'm just going to log in. Interactive Brokers keeps logging me out. There's not a lot of so MSTY is less volatile than MSTR. So volatility allows for an increase in premium, so you can make more money off of a more volatile stock. You also have more risk because it's more volatile, right? But MSTY is less volatile, and they don't have as much option interest. So there's low liquidity, which means higher spreads between selling and buying. So if you ever need to close an option that you sold it and you've sold it for way less than it's actually that people are buying it for, because of that low liquidity, there's a bigger spread in there. And then if you have to buy it back, you're going to be paying a higher spread based on what you sold it for. So there's a little bit of difficulty there, but let's see. Let's go back to now. So this is the option chain for MSTY. You can see it only goes out to here, and then these ones are like 5 cents. There's actually none here. There's one open interest here, so there's only one person trying to sell. There's 3 people trying to buy here at 10 cents. So the liquidity is extremely low, and the ability, your let's see, your IV historical IV here is only 59 as opposed to like 110 with MSTR. And this is for 4 days out. And then see here, there's less expiry dates as well. So 100%, this is possible. This might be something I do, in fact, but and you kind of have to think like, okay, there's going to be a drawdown in the price of the stock when there's a dividend announced as well, because that's income coming out of the funds. So that's all that's already like accounted for in this options chain, but there can be like other catalysts as well. So there is a possibility, but you can see massive spreads between the buy and the sell. 90 cents compared to 50 cents for this option, right? $1 to 65. So quite significant. And again, just not very much options that are in comfortable ranges where I think that they would be expiring out of the money. I prefer not to sell options really far out of expiry because theta decay affects them less. I like selling close to expiry options because then you have theta decay working for you as the option seller. When you get to 39 days out, like MicroStrategy is a crazy beast. I expect it to go way higher, and I don't know when it's going to go higher. And so if I'm selling these options that are really far away, the likelihood of it going higher is way higher within these expiries. So to me, it's not ideal for that, but you could. Jason K here. I have made and lost good money selling options, so it's definitely possible if you're a good trader to make consistent income. Doing it with MSTR is a wild ride though. Yeah, it's totally wild. It's awesome. One of the top boys at True North, Soleil. He goes by two different names, so I always kind of forget. It's Nithu and Soleil. He does like almost daily live streams. I think Monday to Friday live streams of him selling options, of positioning differently. He does a synthetic covered call option. He basically, yeah, he seems to be doing pretty well. He thinks that he's probably underperforming in the long term, but I think maybe with this sideways action of MSTR, like this is MSTY, but MSTR looks similar. He's probably done all right. He's probably done better than just holding spot because it has had this drawdown since this peak here. So yeah. Ron Ola, I already responded to this. This microphone is not one of those Shure ones where the microphone's on top. It's actually on the side. So right now it's actually facing me directly. So this is to your question here. Why is your microphone part facing away from you? The microphone's actually tilted towards me, directly to my mouth. Darth Flyer, I think a catalyst for Bitcoin that most aren't talking about is MicroStrategy gets added to the S&P 500. Bitcoin adoption by companies increases drastically. Thoughts? Yeah, this is what I think Josh Mandel has been talking about this, how the derivatives and the wraps of Bitcoin are going to start driving the price of Bitcoin. He says it's like the cart wagging the horse or something like that. It's the tail wagging the dog. I think this is possible. I think MicroStrategy has affected the price of Bitcoin. They've been doing these consistent buys. They've been a big buyer in the space. There's been other corporate adoption. I think, I think he's actually talking about the options market, the MicroStrategy options market. Now that I'm remembering it, he's talking about the MicroStrategy options market affecting the price of MicroStrategy, which I think is true as well. But I think that all of these other things happening outside of Bitcoin that are connected to Bitcoin are definitely driving the price of Bitcoin right now, for sure. BTC Moon Guy, hey Bitcoiners, hello. Response audio, okay, cool. You lose 15% of MST dividends in TFSA. I have some MicroStrategy in my TFSA already. Yes, that is correct. 88 Sats Radio, MSTR will get to number one and will stay there forever. No one is ever catching them. They're already number one in my eyes, right? I only have eyes for you, Sailor. They're number one. They're number one in the amount of Bitcoin they hold. You know, that's as simple as that. If Bitcoin becomes the base layer of money, what is the market for money? It's crazy. The global market of money is gigantic, and they own a huge portion of that. If we see the global money start transitioning to Bitcoin, right, which I believe that is the future, and we have to be patient. We have to think long term. When we look at MicroStrategy, it's incredibly volatile. So we start to not think long term because we see such high percentage gains and losses within our, paper gains and losses. Even with Bitcoin as well, it's incredibly volatile. We got to look further out than this. Like, this is a game changer. Everything's changing because of MicroStrategy, in my opinion. And yes, again, 88 Sats Radio, great comment here. Bitcoin is the only asset that matters. Ron Otla here, for FASB, will they go back to previous years to get the average cost basis for MicroStrategy bot, or just go with the one value of BTC on January 1st? I think they're actually, so the gains that they've made from their purchases of Bitcoin throughout history actually goes on to retained income and not onto earnings per share or to operating income, or investment income would be the other one. So they're only able to account for it basically the start of Q1 and how far the assets have appreciated or depreciated, right? If Bitcoin ends up the end of the first quarter down, then they have to write that down, and that goes against the earnings per share and their income. If it goes up, then that goes positive for their earnings per share. So everything else that happened before they adopted FASB, which is the beginning of January, doesn't really matter to MicroStrategy's accounting, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is. Okay, we're gonna go back here. 1 second, I will just change my webcam. I'm trying to cover these. This is awesome. This is great. We're almost an hour in, and I appreciate you guys all for being here. This is really, really awesome. Come back every week. I'm going to try to do these weekly. I think this week I'll get that that income growth account all set up. I think I'll have the money transferred to Interactive Brokers, the purchases for MSTY. I'm trying to get it all done before the next dividend announcement. So that's at the end of the week. So I will try to get that. So here we have MSTR. Oh yeah, I'll cover that next week. Another announcement, everybody. My wife is pregnant. We're having a kid, first kid. May 29th is the due date. So this year, coming soon. Wow. I haven't told anybody publicly about that. I've told friends, family, all that stuff. This room here, you can see, sorry about the sirens. And we also live near a road. You can see we have a surfboard. we have my computer chair. We have my desk. All of this stuff needs to come out. So we haven't really put any effort into making this room a room. Because this will be the nursery. This will be our child's room, and I'll have to move my desk out eventually. So we've just literally I have a box of things I'm selling on Marketplace, and my wife has her sewing stuff over there, and I have my office here, and all of this will be changed around and moved soon to make room for the baby. Another thing here, Stampseed. I'm going to be sponsored. I'm going to be working with Stampseed. It's an affiliate thing where I'm able to get 15% off for people that use my code. My code is BTC not crypto 15. You get 15% off Stampseed. I've looked into a lot of options for securing your seed phrase. There's lots of options out there, a lot that will be fine. I think that Stampseed has created the best one. It's titanium, so it is heat resistant and corrosion resistant, unlike a lot of others, and a lot better than even stainless steel in those two factors. And it's one piece. So, there's people that make those washer ones, and I'm actually gonna make those too and experiment with different things. But yeah, I've talked with the owners over there, or the marketing people over at Stampseed. So that's going to be a sponsor here on the show. I'm going to do a little ad for them every once in a while. So expect to see that. And if you guys want to secure your seed you can do so with a discount code from this channel. So that's just another announcement. I know that one's not all that exciting, but yeah. Here, I'm going to look back at the Frosty. Love you, Forrest. Thanks for keeping us updated consistently. Child. Yes. Congratulations. Thank you all for the congratulations. I really appreciate that. We see the surfboard in your videos. Yes, you do see the surfboard. It's my only decoration here. Where are you moving us? Oh, yeah. So I'm going to have to actually we live in a 2-bedroom, so I'm going to put my office in our bedroom. So you'll actually see probably our bed behind here. Haven't fully figured that out yet. Just kind of going as we go, as we have to. BitKid, proof of work. Yeah, proof of work for sure. Matt here says, name your child Bitcoin or you're not bullish enough. Jason K or Satoshi. Satoshi's an awesome name, actually. It's Japanese. I can't name my kid Satoshi, but it's an awesome name. I love Satoshi. It's a great name. Pedro, congrats. Fatherhood is great. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. It's something that I've wanted for a long time. It's obviously scary, new step, new change, all that kind of stuff. And really it's crazy because it's really just financial reasons that have held us back. And part of that is in our head and stuff like that. But, Canada's a tough place to live financially. It takes a lot of sacrifice. And yeah, that's part of why I'm working so hard here. I'm going to try to make a lot of content, make a lot of, add a lot of value, working on my documentaries, all this kind of stuff. And yeah, that's part of it. Darth Flyer here. The one thing that would shock me is if Meta actually does the MSTR playbook, since it has been proposed by shareholders and Zuck is the biggest shareholder at 55%. And he has goats named Bitcoin and Max. I think it's Max, actually, not Maxi. I could be wrong on that. It could be Maxi. I've been trying to bully Zuck on Twitter. I think that we need to all bully him into buying Bitcoin. I think bullying works in this case because we can see how insecure Zuck is. He has totally done this rebrand. You know, he's grown his hair out, wears the gold chain, goes on Rogan. I think he is someone who is susceptible to bullying. I think we can bully that guy into buying Bitcoin. And I tweeted on Twitter, tagging Zuck. I said, what did I say? I said, if you don't put Bitcoin on your balance sheet, that's proof that this whole rebrand is phony. And that's just true, man. Like, come on, you got to step up to the plate. 55% of the voting share, he could do it. He owns Bitcoin himself. It makes absolute total sense for him to at least put some amount of Bitcoin on Meta's balance sheet. If he doesn't do it, seriously, disregard anything that guy says. It's totally fake. It's totally nonsense, any of that stuff that he said. Matt Newell, the men want to provide and can focus too much on that, and the women can sometimes focus too much on protecting when the parent comes. Yeah, that's interesting. What is going on here? You guys can probably hear those sirens, I bet. I mean, I can hear them loud as day. Jason K, the main reason I'm not planning to have a kid is they'll limit my future stacking capabilities. Yeah, that's true. But you know, it gives you another reason to stack, right? This is generational wealth. For me, it's been a kick in the ass to you know, put the Xbox controller down, you know, start researching more, start writing more, start creating more, networking more. You know, it's been a fire under my feet for sure. So there is that as well. Darth Flyer 100%. I think that's to do with bullying Zuck. I mean, I don't condone bullying, but come on, Zuck can take it, you know. 88 Stats Radio. Why is MSTY holding so much in cash? Counter the volatility. And then he says his dog is named Bitcoin. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, that's one thing I don't like about MSTY actually, is that they don't have fully or like more allocated to their strategy. I think that they could do more like that. It is a lot of cash they're holding. Maybe it's to counteract volatility, to lower their volatility as a stock itself. Maybe it's part of their mandates. I'm not 100% sure. I'd actually like to talk to somebody, you know, at YieldMax and get a bit more of a scoop on that, because I do not have that answer. I would like to know for sure. TCC, the gold chain looks so wrong on Zuck's neck. Okay, well, the bullying has started, Zuck. You hear that? Okay, guys, we're wrapped on an hour here. That's it for everything that I have. Oh, cash secured puts. Now, I've only done covered calls because I've interacted. This is my first actual individual account that I'm going to be opening for this income growth fund that I'm starting. And you cannot do cash secured puts in registered accounts. So I know how to do them. I know what they are. I know how to optimize for it because I've researched a lot on the wheel strategy of options of you know, cash secured puts, and then once you get assigned, you do covered calls, and then once you get assigned, then you do cash secured puts. So I think there's a strategy in there for sure. I think if I get enough shares within that income growth fund to of MSTR, or if I acquire enough just cash on hand and feel like building that position, then I could run some cash secured puts on MSTR. But then if I did get assigned, I would have to have the cash for that. So it's quite a lot, right? And I think it would have to happen after a split. So yeah, not an expert on cash secured puts as I've never done them. I do have a pretty good understanding of them, but with a lot of these kind of things, with a lot of this trading, a lot of the stuff, you get a lot more experience from doing. So you should probably find somebody who does to get more information on that. Covered calls though, I've done lots of. We're gonna wrap here in a couple minutes. So if you have any other questions, short ones, appreciate you all. Thank you. We're gonna just read the last few comments before I hop off. This has gone super well. I really appreciate you all for joining. I mean, more than I could ever expect. It's just amazing. Oh, before we go, Bitcoin Well. hold on. I will go to this, put in my info. We're going to do some coin tosses. So get out your Lightning wallet address. This is through Bitcoin Well, which is another sponsor of the show. If you have a Lightning wallet, you're going to want to go to receive and scan. So you can scan a QR code. I'm going to throw some points in the well here live. Whoever scans them first gets some free Bitcoin in their Lightning wallet. So get Wallet of Satoshi out, coinos.io, whatever Lightning address you use. I'm going to redeem. I have some points here. I'm going to just keep redeeming these while I answer the last questions, and then we'll hop off. So 210 sats there for whoever wants to scan it. I think part of it has to do with the fact they need to cash settle trades or something. Yes, that could be it, right? Because they would have times where their shares are going to be, where they basically are holding that cash as a way to compensate for not holding shares. So if some of their calls that they sell go into the money, then they're able to acquire the shares really rapidly, and there is grace periods within there as well, but they're able to send those shares over to whoever's bought in that. So yeah, that's probably is right. Jason K, that's good insight there. Ron here, it's hard to red pill my kids because they know everything already and I'm just dumb dad. All right, well, yeah, I mean, maybe there's some kid content out there that'll help red pill. I don't know. But, you know, people need to figure it out on their own, right? And kids do too. But yes, they do hold a lot of cash. Matt, how can we win? Well, the first person that scans this with a Lightning wallet will win it. I think somebody's already scanned it. If somebody has, maybe comment that. Yes, that is like 20 cents US. So 210 sats, not that significant, but still, it's free Bitcoin. Will I cash secured puts for the yield max cash holding? I'm thinking would love to connect and work on building a CC covered call model together. Yeah, could do cash secured puts. Actually, yeah, you need less capital to do cash secured puts against MSTY because the share price is pretty low. It's only $28.50. That's something I should think about, look into. Connect with me if you want. And if you want to connect with me, probably the best way is to follow the Discord. Go into my Discord channel and connect with me there. I'm just going to keep rolling these. I mean, you guys can scan. I mean, let me know if you can get this, right? Yeah, 88 sats has got it here. 210 sats is 210 sats. Cents are irrelevant. You know, a little antidote. No, I don't know the word. I don't know how to pronounce things. A little story. We'll just use the words that I can pronounce. A story here. I just sold something on Marketplace for the first time with Bitcoin. The guy was from the UK. He didn't know anything about Bitcoin. He thought I was a scammer. He's like, yeah, I checked out your thing. I want this, what you're selling, but I thought you were a scammer because you asked for Bitcoin in the description. I sent him a video. I sent him my video actually about how to buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well into the Lightning Network. He figured it out. He got a wallet, all that. I met with him today. He sent me the thing before that. He's like, oh, this is great. Like I'm really thankful that you introduced me to Bitcoin because I have family back in the UK and it's actually really hard to send money there. And I was like, oh yeah, and like remittance services, they can charge upwards of like 30% in a spread with the conversion of certain currencies and stuff like that. And using the Lightning Network, it's like literally free in a custodial way. In non-custodial, it's extremely cheap. And he was like, yeah, this is like a game changer. He scanned my code, instant transfer, gave him the thing, boom, Bitcoiner just created from Marketplace. Pretty fun. Okay, I don't know who scanned that. 10-4, will I? That's hit the like button. Thank you, Hawk Pilot and Z. I've been read on MSTR since Thanksgiving. Yeah, depending on when you enter, you know, you're gonna have some challenge with MSTR because it's incredibly volatile. It just had a massive run up in November. So Thanksgiving, I guess you're probably thinking American Thanksgiving, which is in November sometime. In Canada, it's in October. So, you know, right? If you practiced Canadian Thanksgiving, maybe you'd be in the green. I don't mean to be unsensitive there, just trying to be funny. Um, yeah, yeah, it sucks. It sucks to be in the red. It's not a good feeling. Um, Marcelo, I think you talked about not being able or not winning these before. I feel like there's got to be something wrong. And then I scammed the guy. Yeah, I totally rugged him. I rugged the marketplace guy. No, actually, I gave him a huge discount for paying with Bitcoin, um, because I figured, yeah, whatever. I got to get rid of this stuff, right? This is going to be the baby room my wife gave me to the end of the month to get rid of this shit I'm selling. So, gave him a huge discount for using Bitcoin, and yeah. Anyway, I need to win one of these. So this is the last one here, Marcelo. I think, yeah. Again, you talked about not being able to scan these. Maybe there's some issue about like scanning these on through a computer or something, because there were a bunch of unclaimed ones when we were talking last time about this, and you should have been able to win them. I don't know who's sniping these and winning these before anybody else, if there's some like weird issue or it's not compatible or something. I don't know. I'm gonna maybe they'll just zoom right in on that thing. Scan that, boys. Hopefully it works. If not, I'm very sorry. Yeah, I thought it would be fun, but yeah, who knows? Yeah, great show. Keep going. Okay, I will do another show same time next week. Supposedly somebody's very fast on the scan on this thing. And then once again, this episode will be available to the public for replay, but into the future, it's only going to be you viewing them live from the public, and replay is for members only. So if you want to support this show, and if you want to get the other benefits of becoming a member on this channel, that's hugely appreciated. And I will snipe little clips out of these for the public as well. So you're not going to entirely miss everything if you're not able to be here for the live, for the ones that don't publicly replay. But yeah, that's about it. Jason K, what is the best Lightning wallet for US users? I know a lot of the good ones have been taken down. Wallet of Satoshi was great for a custodial version of a wallet. That's what I use sometimes. I also use Coinos, which is a web-based wallet. Coinos, so that's COINOS.io, and they might be available in the States. They're very small. It's like a two-person team. Great guys that are creating a really cool product. They even have eCash available, so you can do like a Chaumian eCash, Lightning, on-chain, all these kind of things. Coinos is great, and they've basically orange pilled a huge amount of businesses in Vancouver. Like they're responsible for like 250 plus businesses accepting Bitcoin. Their web wallet's great. You can use it on mobile as well. Try it out. I hope it works in the States. Otherwise, I'm not sure. George has said here, Speed Wallet. Great rec there. And yeah, thank you. My LN was blocked from the chat. Marcelo. Moon Wallet. Yeah, Moon Wallet actually works good. I've used Moon Wallet before, yeah. Ron, I just retired Friday, so it doesn't matter what day for me. All right, I'm gonna end stream. Thank you all. I'll try to do some more of these next week. Hopefully these are working for people. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. Very hard for me to say goodbye. This was a lot of fun. Thank you all. And we'll see you next week. And I'll see you tomorrow. I try to release videos every day. Yeah, we'll see. See you all. Bye.